Hello from nowhere. We are high atop Mystic Mountain in the fantastical land of nowhere. How are you? I'm fine. Thanks for asking. Alright, looky here. Alright, this, I want to talk for just a minute or two about people who have chosen misery in life, rather accidentally, unawareingly, or just knowing better and doing it anyways, alright? And this really isn't to all of them, but it's to a group of them at least, because there's lots of miserable people who understand they're miserable. And they understand they did it to themselves, and they work to get out. You don't have to be miserable, you don't have to be anything. You don't have to be happy, you don't have to be sad, you don't have to be angry, you don't have to be miserable. You don't have to suffer. You can stop any of those anytime you decide you're going to. Cat, go away. Leave me alone. My cat's talking to me. Go away. I was sitting here for like 3 hours. Where are you? Go away. Get off the roof. Look at this. Look at this wild animal. Hey, you get off that roof talking. I'm talking. Alright, so anyways, anytime you decide to stop suffering, you can. Now, that sounds easier said than done, and that's because it is. You have to figure out how to stop suffering. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but that's part of it. If you don't like suffering, you got to figure out why you're suffering, and you fix it. All right? That's a bird. Anyways, so looky here. This is for all the miserable people that you hear the saying, misery loves company. All right, there's people who are miserable on this earth who I don't know if the idea that they had a choice and they could stop suffering ever occurred to them, or they just feel like it's written in stone. It's not. But they're the ones who are out there yelling that I have to do something. You should have to do it too. And they're throwing fits like that at people. And that's generally a sign of misery. All right. So, I know right now we're having a political climate in America where people are generally, they're ready to cut all the welfare programs off. They're ready to cut all of that off. It's fueled by who knows what the real reason is, I'm not really much of a conspiracy theorist. I don't really waste my time. What would it do me if I knew all those things? If I'm gonna acquire a bunch of knowledge, sorry, dogs are barking. I live with lots of wild animals. So if I lost my train of thought. So look, if I'm going to fill my head with a bunch of knowledge and information and all that, it's going to be useful information. Something I can put to practical use. There's my wife. There's my Dane. Hey, Dane. All right. So anyways, they're generally the people who talk about, if I have to suffer, if I had to do it, you should have to do it too. And, those people are generally, that's wrong, all right? I'm not saying give everyone welfare. All right, look, if you're an adult, you should be able to support yourself in some way where you don't require an entire government to extract resources from the population to support you, unless you absolutely need it, all right? Now, I'm also going to say this. Now, everything, is observational or based on perspective. Here comes the cat. You're a star. You're a star. Such grace. Hello, cat. I know. Tell him about it. So, now a cat to look at. That's the descendant of a tiger. So look, I'm going to tell you something. Everything's based on perspective and observation and how you can see the world. How you think, so will the world become. how you judge, and when you judge, so will what you judge become guilty of. And, you know, all those variations of that idea. But the point is, you know, a lot of the people on welfare, that the people are yelling that if I had to go to work, so should they. Well, I want to tell you something. The people that are coming off welfare, they're going to need jobs then. And those people aren't exactly like you in identity in this, that they're not going to have the same sensibilities, personality. They're not, I mean, they're not going to the CEO's office to work. You would probably get really angry about that. You would say, oh my God, they got off welfare and they gave them a CEO of Walmart. I work at the Walmart. They're my boss now. You'd have, you'd have more misery brought upon yourself, right? So let me refocus myself here. So if you kick them off welfare, if you kick people out the Section 8 housing, you do all those things. I want you to understand something. They're going to come work at your job with you. And I know that you wasn't miserable because you found out somebody was on welfare one day. That was more like a fuel source to fuel the emotion, to fuel that aggravation. No. If you want to fix the problem, we've got to go to the source. And you got to ask yourself, why am I really miserable? All right. I mean, like, you're not going to be really that much happier when people come to work right beside you that you are already aggravated at because they got basically a free ride, you know. That's how people see it. So I say it like that. So when they come to work next to you and they really don't do any good, and maybe they're spiteful, maybe they start sabotaging everything when you go tell your boss about it, even if you video them doing it and can prove without a shadow of a doubt that they're purposely going out of their way, taking their frustrations out in the workplace to sabotage the work, and that really bothers you. And nothing happens to them when you go and tell on them. You're really going to not have a good day, man. You're going to start to think back to, man, remember when they were on welfare and they weren't anywhere near me? That was awesome. And so we need to go to the root. If you ever want to stop being miserable for these related reasons where you're led to say, if I have to do something, so should everyone else. That tells me something. You just ain't mad at just the people on welfare. And, you know, do you have a point? Sure. You got to pay taxes for that. I'm with you, but we're talking about it from another angle right now. All right? I'm not unsympathetic to you in one bit in your plight if you're like that. But I'm trying to help you. So I gotta tell you something, all right? That tells me that at a drop of the hat, you could see how I live, and you see that my home is paid for, my cars are paid for. I have a little bit of debt bills. We have the bare necessity bills, and we're working to get off of that. We have like a power and a water bill, right, and a phone bill, right? That's really our expenses at this moment. You would see how I lived, and you might get frustrated at me. Even though I absolutely will not take one bit of government assistance. If I was crippled, and I had to eat, and I was going to die any other way, well, duh. The body has to live, or I don't, you know, the spirit leaves it. That's pretty much how it works. But, you know, point B, you know, for just, you know, right now with the, you know, as it is, I will absolutely not take one bit of government money from the government. I don't care if they were smiling at me. They drove up my driveway personally and they tried to hand it to me. They said, we went out our way to find out that, you know, you got a really bad back injury. You got all these things wrong with your body. We want to give you this because we care about you. I tell them no. It's like holding a rattlesnake you found in the woods. You're going to get bit. Because you see this right now, people who were on the food stamps and they qualified, the government decided you're going to pay us back. A lot of people are having to pay them food stamps back. Some of them cheated. Don't come in the comments thinking you know something. That's your ego trying trying to sound like you know something, but listen to me. I know some people cheat. There are cheaters everywhere. We're not talking about them. We're talking about the normal people who did things right. And the government said that, oh, turns out we shouldn't have gave you $30,000 worth of food stamps over the last 10 years. Holy crap. Give it back. You know, you're not doing that to me, government. I've got something worth more than money. It's called freedom. And people used to love that in America, and now they just want security and they want this and that. Well, I mean, you were warned about that idea, wanting security over freedoms and all these things. You traded them. And even if you didn't really trade them because it would have took them from you anyways. They make you think that you traded it. You didn't trade nothing. You really didn't ever have a choice. But for the sake of simplicity here in a video, you trade, you know, people said, I'll hop on board with this system and I'll have security. Well, you had security until you didn't, and now you just don't got nothing. You know, I absolutely will not take a cent from the government. I do not care. You know, and there's no doubt in my mind that if I wanted to, I could go up to the disability office and get disability. There's no question about that because I've got a lot of serious injuries. But you know what? They can keep it because they will never lord over me. They will never make me feel like I depend on them. I depend on God. And if everyone else would learn to depend on God, they wouldn't depend on that. And I'm about to throw a dog in jail. You disturbing the peace. Hush, dog. There's never anything when you be barking. Hush. So you know, the thing about it is that though, people are going to come off the welfare after Section 8, all those things, and they're going to come to your job and work with you. You're going to be trapped with them in a closed space. You get what you wish for, don't you? Word, don't you get it? In the beginning, God was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and God was the Word. Watch what you say, because it will come to pass. It will come to be. Watch your mouth. So anyways, all these people are going to come work at your workplace, and they're going to be awful. And you're probably going to end up rage quitting. And because you didn't deal with the underlying issue, the real issue that led to you suffering, being miserable, being unhappy, you didn't deal with that. Well, what is that? You're clearly aggravated at the system we live in. And instead of saying, I can't do anything about it, and either accepting it and learning how to be happy with some form of societal-wide Stockholm syndrome, or doing so, or taking precautions to make it a temporary point of misery in your life, you kept going with the flow. You added one debt after another. You added one bill after another. I'm stuck here anyway. This is what I was told I was supposed to do in life, was get a job, work, and then I retire, and then I probably die. Well, you know, I don't listen to people. Most of them are miserable. Most of them suffer, and misery does love company. I'm reminded of the chicken I have, and the chicken is walking around somewhere right now, or I would put them in the frame. The chicken fell off of a meat truck, spent its whole life up to that point in a meat factory for chicken factory, basically. And it fell off of a truck, and I got the little chicken out of the road in the pouring rain and brought it here. And, you know, I watched the chicken. I watch the chicken every day, and I don't teach the chicken anything, but I realize something, that everything that chicken needs to survive on this planet as a chicken is built right into that chicken. And so the chicken had never seen a roost. before. I shoved it in its cage. We kind of keep it on the porch because we are in the middle of the wilderness, and I brought it here. I have an obligation to protect it from predators, right? Sometimes it doesn't work out. That's part of life. Chicken had never been on the ground before. When I put it on the ground the first time, it just stood there and sat down. It didn't forage. It didn't walk around. It didn't know. It didn't click. And then one day, little by little, what it needed to survive on this planet as a chicken began to turn on. It was still a chicken, but it began to walk around and eat flowers and eat bugs and forage through the ground, peck the ground, scratch the ground, and now it gets on its roost. That chicken had no idea until it came here that it was a chicken. It really didn't have any clue how to be a chicken. It was just hanging out, waiting for the inevitable. Didn't know it was coming, obviously. It wouldn't have cared either. I mean, chickens are. The chicken did not know that there was more to it. It had no clue that there was more to it than what external circumstances, what others thought it should be and imposed on it and told it to be. And then one day, it came here. And slowly and certainly, slowly but surely, that chicken realized that it wasn't what it had been pushed into being and what it had been told to be and what had been imposed on it. That chicken realized there was more to the grander scheme. There was more to life. There was more to it than meets the eye. And that's the same with you and anyone who watches or listens to this video later. Facebook now deletes them. Get it while you can. There's more to you than an identity. There's more to you than a collection of experiences. And there's more to you than what has been told to you and what has been shown to you and what has been imposed on you. All those things together, for simplicity's sake, are our identity. And I promise you, there is more than meets the eye to you, and there is more than identity to you. You go out there to learn more about identity, listen to me. Don't learn how to put another one on. Don't learn how to be this or that. If you have to go learn a job skill and you want to learn how to do something, it's a different matter, but don't make it who you are. You'll cheat yourself if you do, because you are always infinite, and you are timeless, and you are the formless. You are the formless waiting to take form. And you can take any form that you can take. But I tell you this, learn how to take it off. Learn how to take off what you think is you, because you are more than what you think. And if you're out there saying, I had to do this or that, so everyone should, that's not you. That's lashing out. Because you experience something awful and you feel trapped. And so you lash out at that. But what if it was reversed? What if you were on a beach somewhere drinking, I don't know, what do people drink, martinis, whatever they drink, a margarita on a beach. I'm not an alcoholic, I don't know. And you were out there and you were filthy rich. Would you say everyone should be like you are? I don't think you would, because for some reason, the only people who just instinctively go to, I had to do something so everyone should. those people are in pain and misery. And in a lot of ways, they don't see a way out of it. And all they can do is lash out because, all right, I specialize in the energy side of things, so I just talk like this a lot. So you have a different outlook, that's fine. It generates energy, and it keeps those people's batteries running. And unfortunately, the batteries shift into just wanting that kind of energy, so they become better and better and better at generating it on their own and going out there into the world and generating it through others. It's a lot like vampirism. You've seen the movies where Dracula is drinking the blood. He's drinking that because there's energy in it. And a lot of people don't know that they're doing it because it's just such a concept. So, anyways, what has to happen? What has to happen is you're going to have to realize this: that just like the choices that you made to get you to that suffering, whether they were knowingly made or not knowingly, or accidental, or result of a circumstance, there was a choice made. And that's a great thing because it means you can make another choice. And you have to think about this, and this is the uncomfortable part, if there is one. That just like it took you years to become this miserable, or whatever you may be, I'm talking to the miserable crowd right now, so if you're not the miserable crowd, if it don't apply, let it fly. So what you have to understand is that it took you years to become like this, and now you got to do a whole lot of different things. You got to choose to do a whole lot of things that don't result in misery. And who knows how long it takes. But if you think about it like this, you have an input, your senses, and the senses are like putting information in. And that information goes to essentially a processor, your brain. You're not the brain, but it goes to the brain, and then based on how that brain is wired and connected to emotions and all the other things that an actual neurologist could explain. All right, this is the basics here to get you started. Based on the information that goes in and processes, outputs come out, and your body, not really you, not you, your body is the actuator that fulfills and performs the output based on memory inside of you. And, learning equals you get better and you can change things, You don't have to become a Buddha to stop suffering. You don't have to become the most enlightened being on this earth to stop suffering. You just really have to realize that you aren't the suffering. I mean that quite literally. You have to realize you're not the thoughts, that you're not the situations. This is identifying something, confusion, right? Think that maybe you get thoughts that are somewhere thoughts are happening before you act. They may be so fast you don't see them happening. They usually are. Energy moves very quickly. You have to practice watching and not reacting. Easier said than done. But you have to realize you've got to practice it. You got to start making choices. If it makes you suffer, cut it off. If it drags you through misery and suffering, you must circumcise it from yourself. You got to remove it. You got to start watching how you behave, how you act, your actions, and I mean you got to watch it as if you are separate from it. That you gotta cultivate that, and you gotta foster that. All right, you need that space. You need that realization that you are not the body, and that you're not all the other things you think you are, and all the things that happened in the course of this life. You gotta remember that, like, you gotta understand, you gotta create the space between it so that you can realize that that's not you. And once you really do this, it'll all stop. You know, if you're a slow learner like me, occasionally you forget that lesson, and then you know. You know, you're going to get irritated. All right, look here. We don't live in, like, Tibet, and we don't live in ancient India. All right. So, guys, I want you to have a good day. And I want you to be both blessed and cursed. I want you to accept that they're all part of the same damn picture. I hope everything goes your way. Have a great day.